Every time she came home, this girl was too scared to enter her house, hiding in the hallway in a cold sweat. Every day after work she sees a woman with a cloaked face knocking on her neighbor's door. She didn't look like a normal person at all. At first she tried to call the police, but the knocking suddenly stopped when she finished entering the number. By the time the girl got up the courage to look at him, the woman had disappeared. She worked late into the night so that she wouldn't bump into the woman at the end of the day, so that she could time her knocking to coincide with the woman's knocking. But even so, the day she walked into the lift on her way home, the woman who knocked on the door came in and scared the girl so much that she couldn't even breathe. Although the woman kept knocking on her neighbor's door even after she got off the lift, she had to walk over to the door in order to get home, and then opened it as quickly as she could and went inside. She poured a glass of water to calm down, not knowing that the woman was already watching her. It wasn't long before she saw a man climbing in the window in a trance. Curious, she slowly walked towards the window to check it out, but unfortunately she didn't see anything. Just as she turned away from the windowsill, a muddy handprint appeared under the window. The girl spent the rest of the night with her eyes open. The next morning she dragged her tired body to work. Thankfully, there was no cloaked woman in the hallway at the end of the day. But when she opened her door, a check for $1 million and a note fell on her door. The person claiming to be her neighbor told the girl to come to his house at 12 a.m. and leave the door open for him. The check for the $1 million was hers if she dared to come. Although the girl was terrified, she was determined to get rich overnight. She went to her neighbor's house at 12 a.m. As soon as she walked in, work. The note said that if she came to his house at 12 o'clock in the morning, she would get all the money. But when the girl walked into her neighbor's house at 12 o'clock, instead of seeing him, she saw a box full of charms and spells. Just as the girl was about to open it, an eerie sound came from inside and scared the girl out of the house. She thought this was the end of the story. But the next day she came home with a small note stuck to her door. This time the check was raised from $1 million to $10 million. Realizing that her neighbor had been slow to let her go, she went straight to his house and knocked frantically on his door to teach him a lesson. But the neighbor didn't open the door for her. Just as the girl was about to go home, a pair of large hands suddenly grabbed her. The girl agreed to come to his house at 12 o'clock at midnight. Soon it was 12 o'clock at midnight and she arrived at her neighbor's house. Without saying a word, she opened the neighbor's box full of charms and spells. But when she opened the door, there was a man inside with runes written on his face. The girl was so scared that she rushed out of the door to go home. At that moment, the cloaked woman suddenly appeared and walked towards her without saying a word. The girl was so frightened that she opened the door to her house. When the key suddenly fell to the floor, the girl picked it up and inserted it. She opened the door in time to hide in the house as the woman approached. After this incident, the girl thought the house was haunted and approached the agent to get out of the house. After learning that she had to pay 10 times the amount of the default fee, the girl returned home sadly. The girl didn't expect that just after she walked in the door, a man appeared out of nowhere and the girl knocks on the door of his house. As the hands on the watch pointed to 12 o'clock, the familiar knocking sounded again. The man falls to the ground in fear and the girl takes the opportunity to run to the kitchen and grab a kitchen knife to defend herself. Instead of being scared, the man rushed straight to the girl and stabbed the knife into his body. He could no longer stand it because of the evil spirits that knocked on his door every day. After an investigation by the police, the girl was defending herself and was not sentenced to prison. But the girl felt that something was wrong. In order to find out who the girl knocking at the door was, she went to a psychic for help. With a mysterious spell from the psychic, all the truth comes out. It turns out that the evil spirit was a model and the photographer was the neighbor who died yesterday. Looking at the girl's attractive face, the photographer decided to use witchcraft to get her. So he took out a mysterious mask and put his own blood on it to cast a curse that would control the person. With the girl under the spell, she would come to the man's house every day uncontrolled but unaware of it. One day the girl realizes something is wrong and the photographer tells her the whole truth. The girl was furious when she heard it. While they were arguing, the photographer accidentally pushed her against a rock and killed her. The girl's spirit refused to go to the netherworld because of her grievances, so she came to torment the photographer every night. After learning that the girl was only knocking on the door every day for revenge, the psychic said he had to find the girl's body and tell her that the photographer was dead before she could leave the building in peace. To stop the tragedy from happening, the psychic went to the location where the girl had been killed and found her body. With the soul swapping, the evil spirits knew that they had been avenged and left the psychic's body in peace. At the end of the story, the two of them work together to bury her body and the evil spirit is finally relieved to go to the underworld. This film teaches us never to do anything to harm others, because good is rewarded with good and evil is rewarded with evil. Everything has a cause and an effect, and everything has a reincarnation.